Your heart stopped. A moment ago it was beating. Now it isn't. Something this massive can end this quickly, this simply. And what happens during the first 60 seconds may be something science is only beginning to understand. Because it now appears that the moment you die may also be one of the most active moments your brain will ever experience. The first thing that happens when your heart stops is actually nothing. At least nothing you can feel. Your blood pressure instantly drops to zero. The roughly 5 liters of blood that were moving through your body just seconds ago suddenly become almost motionless. Once the pump stops, there is no flow, no delivery. But the strange part is this: your brain does not realize it yet. For the first few seconds, your brain continues operating using the oxygen still left in your blood. Neurons are still firing. Thoughts, whatever they are, continue. Technically, you are still you, but that window closes fast. Around 10 seconds later, a critical shift begins. The brain, the organ that consumes nearly 20% of your body's oxygen, starts realizing that oxygen delivery has stopped. The cerebral cortex, responsible for conscious thought, slowly begins shutting down. For most people, this is the moment consciousness fades. Your eyes stop processing images, your ears stop registering sound. To anyone watching from the outside, you appear gone. But inside, something very different may be happening. In 2023, neuroscientist Jimo Borjigin and her team at University of Michigan published a study that challenged our entire understanding of death. They monitored the brain activity of 4 comatose patients after life support was removed. A machine losing power. But that is not what happened. In 2 of the patients, seconds after oxygen disappeared, the brain responded in a way nobody expected. It exploded into activity. A massive surge of gamma waves spread across the brain. Gamma waves are associated with consciousness, intense awareness, memory retrieval, and dreaming. And this was not random noise. The activity was organized, structured, and especially concentrated in the temporoparietal occipital junction, a region previously linked to out-of-body experiences and vivid visual perception. Borjigin summarized the findings in a single sentence: it was crazy high. And this is where science enters territory that becomes much harder to explain. For years, people who survived clinical death have reported experiences that sound disturbingly similar to this burst of brain activity. Bright lights, the sensation of floating above their own body, an overwhelming feeling of peace, and of course the famous experience of your life flashing before your eyes. Most people assume those memories would be the biggest moments of life: weddings, achievements, major turning points. But people who actually experienced it often describe the opposite. Not the big moments, the small ones. Riding a bicycle as a child, checking emails on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon, a white cat sitting on a staircase you did not even remember existed. Yes, that was a real report. One young man who survived clinical death said that during his life review, he saw a white cat on a staircase. He had no conscious memory of the place. He did not even know he had ever lived there. After recovering, he described the staircase, the apartment layout, and the cat to his mother. She stared at him in shock. "We really did live there," she told him. And the neighbor really did have a white cat. He had been only 14 months old when they moved away. And that raises one of the biggest unanswered questions in neuroscience. Are all of our memories still there somewhere? Every single one? And in its final surge of activity, is the dying brain unlocking the entire archive? We still do not know. But brainwave recordings make one thing clear: this is not a simple shutdown. Now, let's return to the body. Because while the brain may be lighting up, the rest of the body is beginning to darken. About 30 seconds after cardiac arrest, the blood can no longer carry usable oxygen. The 37 trillion cells in your body begin to notice. Cells switch from oxygen-based aerobic respiration to emergency anaerobic metabolism. This system still produces energy, but it also rapidly builds up lactic acid. And the acid spreads fast. Your muscles completely relax because they are no longer receiving commands from the brain. Your jaw drops. Your eyelids stop blinking. If you were standing, you have already collapsed. Your pupils widen and become fixed. Your eyes are technically still intact, but there may no longer be anyone using them. Or is there? Because this is where things become strange again. For over 20 years, intensive care physician Sam Parnia and the AWARE studies have investigated what happens to consciousness during cardiac arrest across dozens of hospitals. The 2023 AWARE-2 study produced results that shocked even researchers. Nearly 40% of cardiac arrest survivors reported some form of conscious experience while clinically dead. Around 20% described organized thoughts, clear memories, and intense awareness. Some claimed they could still see and hear, even after their hearts had stopped. Many also described feeling peaceful, not afraid, not alone. Some reported seeing deceased loved ones waiting for them. Others heard the words, "It's not your time yet." Whether this is the brain's final hallucination or something else entirely remains unknown. But one thing is clear: for many people, death does not feel dark or painful. It feels peaceful. Around 60 seconds later, cellular damage begins accelerating, but recovery is still possible. If CPR starts now, if a defibrillator is used, survival can still happen. Brain cells can survive 4 to 6 minutes without oxygen, which means that at the 1-minute mark, you exist in a biological gray zone, not fully alive, not fully gone, Inside your cells, rising acidity begins breaking them down. This is the beginning of autolysis, the process where the body slowly starts digesting itself. But most cells are still intact, still waiting for oxygen. If blood flow returns, the process can still be reversed. But if nobody comes, if no intervention happens, then this becomes the final minute of your life. And according to everything we currently know, the brain may not spend this final minute shutting down. It may spend it opening up. People who return from death rarely come back wanting more money or status. They want more time. Because in the end, the memories that return are often not the biggest moments of life, but the smallest ones. The moments you thought nobody recorded, but your brain did. And in the final minute, it may show them to you one last time.